Good morning, everybody. So I just wanted to welcome my friends, fans, and family to the conversations. Today, I'm going to start reading one of my favorite books to you guys, and I'm going to notate in the in the note section, um, why it's so important to me. The Four Agreements. So, about I want to say, I think my son was 2. So it's been about 11 years that I've owned this book. And in the beginning, I did implement it quite a bit. And every season of my life, something has always stood out in this book. So I always recommended it to all of my sales staff. I did receive this book from a sales manager that I was under when I was in my 30s, early 30s. And it still resonates with me. I still learn something new every time I read it. This book has 100 pages. That's it, front to back, including contents, including acknowledgments. It's called The Four Agreements by Don Miguel Ruiz. It was originally written in Spanish, but I do have an English PDF here that if you would like, I can send to you. I'm going to skip all of the introductions and acknowledgments and jump right into this. So I'm going to read the first 5 pages of the book, and then we can discuss it from there. I might even have my own thoughts at the end of all of this. So it's based off of the Toltec, okay? So thousands of years ago, the Toltec were known throughout southern Mexico as women and men of knowledge. Anthropologists have spoken to the Toltec as a nation or race. Start over again. The anthropologists have spoken of the Toltec as a nation or a race, but in fact, the Toltec were scientists and artists who formed a society to explore and conserve the spiritual knowledge and practices of the ancient ones. They came together as masters and students at Teotihuacan, the ancient city of pyramids outside of Mexico City, known as the place where man becomes God. Okay. Over the millennia, the Naguls were forced to conceal the ancestral wisdom and maintain its existence in obscurity. European conquest, coupled with a rampant misuse of personal power by a few of the apprentices, made it necessary to shield the knowledge from those who are not prepared to use it wisely, or who might intentionally misuse it for their personal gain. Fortunately, the esoteric Toltec knowledge was embedded and passed on through generations by different lineages of Naguls. Through it remained veiled in secrecy for hundreds of years. Ancient prophecies foretold the coming of an age when it would be necessary to return the wisdom to the people. Now, Don Miguel Ruiz, a Nagul from the Eagle Knight lineage, has been guided to share with us the powerful teachings of the Toltec. Toltec knowledge arises from the same essential unity of truth as all sacred esoteric traditions found around the world. Though it is not a religion, it honors all the spiritual masters who have taught on the earth. While it does embrace spirit, it most accurately describes as a way of life distinguished by the ready accessibility of happiness and love. All right. So the smoky mirror, this is the introduction. 3,000 years ago, there was a human, just like you and me, who lived near a city surrounded by mountains. The human was studying to become a medicine man, to learn the knowledge of his ancestors. But he didn't completely agree with everything that he was learning. In his heart, he felt that there must be something more. One day, as he slept in a cave, he dreamed that he saw his own body sleeping. He came out of the cave in the night of a new moon. The sky was clear. He could see millions of stars. Then something happened inside of him that transformed his life forever. He looked at his hands, he felt his body, and he heard his own voice say, "I'm made of light. I'm made of stars." He looked at the stars again and he realized that it's not the stars that create light, but rather light that creates the stars. Everything is made of light. He said the space in between isn't empty. And he knew that everything that existed is one living being, and that light is a messenger of life because it is alive and it contains all information. Then he realized that although he was made of stars, he was not those stars. I'm in between the stars, he thought. So he called the stars the tonal and the light between the stars the nagul. And he knew that what created the harmony and space between the two is life or intent. Without life, the tonal and the ghoul could not exist. Life is a force of absolute, the supreme, the creator. He creates everything. This is what he discovered. Everything in existence is a manifestation of the one living being we call God. Everything is God. And he came to the conclusion that the human perception is merely light perceiving light. He also saw that matter is a mirror. Everything is a mirror that reflects light and creates images of that light. And the world of illusion, the dream, is just like smoke, which doesn't allow us to see who we really are. The real us is pure love and pure light, he said. This realization changed his life. Once he knew that he really was, what he really was, he looked around at other humans and the rest of nature, and he was amazed at what he saw. He saw himself in everything, in every human, in every animal, in every tree, in the water, in the rain, in the clouds, and in the earth. He saw that life mixed the tonal and the nagul in different ways to create billions of manifestations of life. In those few moments, he comprehended everything. He was very excited, and his heart was filled with peace. He could hardly wait to tell his people what he had discovered, but there were no words to explain it. He tried to tell others, but they could not understand. They could not see that he had changed, that something beautiful was radiating from his eyes and his voice. He noticed that he no longer had judgment about anything anymore, and he was no longer like anyone else. He could understand everyone very well, but no one could understand him. He believed that he was the incarnation of God, and he smiled when he heard this, and he said, "It is true. I am God, but you are also God. We are the same, you and I. We are images of light. We are God." But still his people didn't understand him. He had discovered that he was a mirror for the rest of the people. He discovered that he was a mirror for the rest of the people, a mirror in which he could see himself. Everyone is a mirror, he said. He saw himself in everyone, but nobody saw him in themselves. And he realized that everyone was dreaming. But without awareness, without knowing what we really are, they couldn't see him as themselves because there was a wall or fog or smoke, a wall of fog or smoke between the mirrors. And the wall of fog was made by interpretation of images of light, the dream of humans. Then he knew that he had soon forgot all that he had learned. He wanted to remember all the visions he had had, so he decided to call himself the smoky mirror, so that he would always know that matter is a mirror And the smoke in between is what keeps us from knowing who we are. He said, I am the smoky mirror because I'm looking at myself in all of you, and we don't recognize each other because of the smoke in between us. That smoke is the dream, and the mirror is you, the dreamer. Living is easy with your eyes closed, misunderstanding all you see. John Lennon. Chapter 1. Domestication and the dream of the planet. What you are seeing and hearing right now is nothing but a dream. We're dreaming right now, in this moment. You're dreaming with the brain awake. Dreaming is a main function of the mind. The mind dreams 24 hours a day. It dreams when the brain is awake. It also dreams when the brain is asleep. The difference is that when the brain is awake, there is a material frame that makes us perceive things in a linear way. When we go to sleep, we don't have that frame, and the dream has the tendency to change constantly. Humans are dreaming all the time. Before we were born, the humans before us created a big outside dream that we will call society's dream, or the dream of the planet. The dream of the planet is the collective dream of billions of smaller personal dreams, which together create a dream of a family, a dream of a community, a dream of a city, a dream of a country, and finally the dream of the whole of humanity. The dream of the planet includes all of society's rules, its beliefs, its laws, its religions, its different cultures and the way to be, its government, schools, social events, and holidays. We are born with the capacity to learn how to dream, and humans who lived before us teach us how to dream the way society dreams. The outside dream has so many rules that when a new human is born, we hook the child's attention and introduce these rules into his or her mind. This outside dream usually uses mom and dad, the schools, and religion to teach us how to dream. However, attention is the ability to have discriminate and to focus only on that which we want to perceive. We can perceive millions of things simultaneously, but using our attention, we can hold whatever we want to perceive in the foreground of our mind. The adults around us hooked our attention and put information in our minds through repetition. This is the way we learned everything we know. By using our attention, we learned a whole reality, a whole dream. We learned how to behave in society, what to believe, and what not to believe. What is acceptable, what is not acceptable. This is good, and what is bad. What is good and what is bad. What is beautiful and what is ugly. What is right and what is wrong. This is all there already. All that knowledge, all those rules and concepts about how to behave in the world. When you were in school, you sat in a little chair and you put your attention on what the teacher was teaching you. When you went to church, you put your attention on what the priest or minister was telling you. It is the same dynamic with mom and dad, brothers and sisters. They are all trying to hook your attention. We also learn to hook the attention of other humans, and we develop a need for attention, which can become very competitive. Children compete for the attention of their parents, their teachers, and their friends. Look at me, look at what I am doing. Hey, I'm here. The need for attention becomes very strong and continues into adulthood. The outside dream hooks our attention and teaches us what to believe, beginning with language that we speak. Language is a code for understanding and communication between humans. Every letter, every word in each language is an agreement. We call this page in the book The word page is the agreement that we understand. Once we understand the code, our attention is hooked and the energy is transferred from one person to another. It was not your choice to speak English. You didn't choose your religion or your moral values. They were already there before you were born. You never had the opportunity to choose what to believe or what not to believe. You never chose even the smallest of those agreements. We didn't even choose our own name. As children, we didn't have the opportunity to choose our beliefs. We agreed that the information was passed to us from the dream of the planet via other humans. The only way to store information is by agreement. The outside dream may hook our attention, but if we don't agree, we don't store that information. As soon as we agree, we believe it, and this is called faith. To have faith is to believe unconditionally. This is how we learn as children. Children believe everything adults say. We agree with them, and our faith is strong, that the belief system controls our whole dream of life. We didn't choose these beliefs, and we may have rebelled against them, but we were not strong enough to win the rebellion. The result is surrender to the beliefs with our agreement. I call this process the domestication of humans. And although this domestication, we learn how to live and how to dream, in human domestication, the information from the outside dream is conveyed to the inside dream, creating our whole belief system. First, the child is taught the names of things: mom, dad, milk, bottle. Day by day at home, at school, at church, and from television, we are told how to live and what kind of behavior is acceptable. The outside dream teaches us how to be human. We have a whole concept of what a woman is and what a man is. And we also learn to judge. We judge ourselves, we judge other people, we judge the neighbors. Children are domesticated the same way we domesticate a dog, a cat, or any other animal. In order to teach a dog, we punish the dog and we give it rewards. We train our children, whom we love so much, the same way we train any domesticated animal, with a system of punishment and reward. We are told, "You're a good boy," or "You're a good girl." When we do that, when we do what it is that mom and dad want us to do. When we don't, we are a bad girl or a bad boy. When we went against the rules, we were punished. When we went along with the rules, we were rewarded. We were punished many times a day, and we were rewarded many times a day. Soon we became afraid of being punished and also afraid of not receiving the reward. The reward is the attention that we got from our parents or from other people like siblings, teachers, and friends. We soon develop a need to hook other people's attention in order to get the reward. The reward feels good, and we keep doing that, what others want us to do in order to get rewarded. With that fear of being punished and that fear of not getting the reward, we start pretending to be what we are not, just to please others, just to be good enough for someone else. We try to please mom and dad. We try to please the teachers at school. We try to please the church. So we start acting. We pretend to be what we are not because we are afraid of being rejected. The fear of being rejected becomes the fear of not being good enough. Eventually, we become someone that we are not. We become a copy of mama's beliefs, daddy's beliefs, society's beliefs, religion's beliefs. All our normal tendencies are lost in the process of domestication. And when we are old enough for our mind to understand, we learn the word no. The adults say, "Don't do this and don't do that." We rebel and say, "No." We rebel because we are defending our freedom. We want to be ourselves, but we are very little, and the adults are big and strong. After a certain time, we are afraid because we know that every time we do something wrong, we are going to be punished. The domestication is so strong that at a certain point in our lives, we no longer need anyone to domesticate us. We don't need mom and dad, the school, or the church to domesticate us. We are so well trained that we are our own domesticator. We're an auto-domesticated animal. We can now domesticate ourselves according to the same belief system we were given and using the same system of punishment and reward, but we punish ourselves when we don't follow the rules according to our own belief system. We reward ourselves when we are the good girl or the good boy. The belief system is like a book of law that rules our mind. Without question, whatever is in the book of law is our truth. We base all of our judgments according to the book of law, even if these judgments go against our own inner nature. Even moral laws like the Ten Commandments are programmed into our mind to process of domestication, in the process of domestication. One by one, all of these agreements go into the book of law, and these agreements rule our dream. There's something in our minds that judges everything, everybody, including the weather, the dog, the cat, everything. The inner judge uses what is in our book of law to judge everything we do and don't do. Everything we think and don't think, and everything we feel and don't feel, everything lives under the tyranny of this judge. Every time you do something that goes against the book of law, the judge says we're guilty. We need to be punished. We should be ashamed. This happens many times a day, day after day, for all the years of our lives. There's another part that receives the judgments. This part is called the victim. The victim carries the blame, the guilt, and the shame. This is the part of us that says, poor me, I'm not good enough. I'm not intelligent enough. I'm not attractive enough. I'm not worthy of love. Poor me. The big judge agrees and says, yes, you are not good enough. And this is all based on a belief system that we never chose to believe. These beliefs are so strong that even years later, when you're exposed to new concepts and try to make your own decisions, we find that these beliefs still control our lives. Whatever goes against the book of law will make you feel funny sensation in your solar plex. And it's called fear. Breaking the rules is the book of law opens your emotional wounds, and your reaction is to create emotional prison, because everything that is in the book of law has to be true. Everything that challenges you to believe, challenges what you believe, is going to make you feel unsafe. Even if the book of law is wrong, it makes you feel safe. This is why we need a great deal of courage to challenge our own beliefs. Because even if we know we didn't choose these beliefs, it is also true that we agreed to all of them. The agreement is so strong that even if you understand the concept of it not being true, you feel the blame, the guilt, the shame that occur if we go against these rules. Just as the government has a book of laws that rule our society's dream, our belief system is the book of law that rules our personal dream. All these laws exist in our mind. We believe them, and the judge inside us bases everything off these rules. The judge decrees, and the victim suffers the guilt and punishment. But who says there's justice in this dream? True justice is paying only once for each mistake. True injustice is paying more than once for the same mistake. Not for the same mistake, but for each mistake. How many times do you pay for one mistake? The answer is thousands of times. The human is the only animal on this earth that pays 1,000 times for the same mistake. The rest of animals pay once for every mistake they make. But not us. We have a powerful memory. We make a mistake, we judge ourselves, we find ourselves guilty, and we punish ourselves. If justice exists, then that was enough. We don't need to do it again. We punish ourselves again. Wait, hold on. Punish ourselves. If justice exists, then that is enough. We don't need to do it again. But every time we remember, we judge ourselves again. We are guilty again. We punish ourselves again and again and again. If we have a wife or husband, he or she also reminds us of the mistake. So we can judge ourselves again, punish ourselves again, and find ourselves guilty again. Is that fair? How many times do you make your spouse or children or your parents pay for the same mistake? Every time we remember the mistake, we blame them again and send them on the emotional prison we feel the injustice. And then we make them pay again for the same mistake. Is that justice? The judge in the mind is wrong because the belief system, the book of the law, is wrong. The whole dream is based on false law. 95% of the beliefs we've stored in our minds are nothing but lies, and we suffer because we believe all these lies. In the dream of the planet, it is normal for humans to suffer, to live in fear, and to create emotional dramas. This outside dream is not a pleasant dream. It's a dream of violence, a dream of fear, a dream of war, a dream of injustice. The personal dream of humans will vary, but globally is mostly a nightmare. If we look at human society, we see a place so difficult to live because it's ruled by fear. Throughout the world, we see human suffering, anger, revenge, addictions, violence in the street, and tremendous injustice. It may exist at different levels in different countries around the world, but fear is controlling the outside dream. If we compare the dream of human society with the description of hell that religions all around the world have proclamated, we find that we are exactly the same. Religions say that hell is a place of punishment, a place of fear, pain, suffering, a place where the fire burns you. Fire is generated by emotions that come from fear. Whenever you feel the emotions of anger, jealousy, envy, or hate, we experience a fire burning within us, right? We are living in the dream of hell. If you consider hell as a state of mind, then hell is all around us. Others may warn us that if we don't do what they say we should do, we will go to hell. Bad news, we're already in hell, including the people that tell us that. No human can condemn another to hell because we are already there. Others can put us into a deeper hell, true, but only if we allow this to happen. Every human has his or her own personal dream, and just like the society dream, it is often ruled by fear. We learn to dream hell is in our own life and in our personal dream. The same fears manifest in different ways for each person, of course, but we experience anger, jealousy, hate, envy, and other negative emotions. Our personal dream can also become an ongoing nightmare where we suffer and live in a state of fear. But we don't need to dream a nightmare. It is possible to enjoy a pleasant dream. All of humanity is searching for truth, justice, and beauty. We are on an eternal search for the truth because we only believe in the lies we have stored in our minds, okay? We are searching for justice because the belief system we have, there is no justice. We search for beauty because it doesn't matter how beautiful a person is, we don't believe that person has beauty. We keep searching and searching when everything is already within us. There's no truth to find. Wherever we turn our heads, all we see is the truth. And with the agreements and beliefs we have stored in our mind, we have no eyes for this truth. We don't see the truth because we're blind. What blinds us all are all those false beliefs. So what blinds us are all those false beliefs we have in our mind. We have the need to be right and to make others wrong. We trust what we believe, and our beliefs set us up for suffering. It is as if we live in the middle of a fog that doesn't let us see any further than your own nose. We live in a fog that is not even real. This fog is a dream, your personal dream of life, what you believe, all the concepts you have about what you are, all the agreements you have made with others, yourself, and even God. Your whole mind is a fog, which the Toltecs called the mitote, pronounced mitote. Your mind is a dream where 1,000 people talk at the same time and nobody understands each other. This is the condition of the human mind, a big menote. Mitote. I'm gonna have to keep practicing that. And with that big mitote, we cannot see what you really are. In India, they call the mitote Maya, which means illusion. It is the personality's notion of I am. Everything you believe about yourself and the world and all the concepts and programming you have in your mind are all the mitote. We cannot see who we truly are. We cannot see that we are not free. This is why humans resist life. To be alive is the biggest fears human has. It's one of the biggest fears. Death is not the biggest fear we have. Our biggest fear is taking the risk to be alive, the risk to be alive and express what we really are. Just being ourselves is the biggest fear of humans. We have learned to live our lives trying to satisfy other people's demands. We have learned to live other people's points of view because of fear, or because of fear of not being accepted and of not being good enough for someone else. During the process of domestication, we form an image of what perfection is in order to try to be good enough. We create that image of how we should be in order to be accepted by everybody. We especially try to please the ones who love us, like mom and dad, big sisters and brothers, the priest, the teacher, trying to be good enough for them. We create an image of perfection, but we don't fit this image. We create this image, but this image is not real. We are never going to be perfect from this point of view. Never. Not being perfect, we reject ourselves. And the level of self-rejection depends on how effective the adults were in breaking our integrity. After domestication, it is no longer about being good enough for anybody else. We are not good enough for ourselves because we don't fit with our own image of perfection. We cannot forgive ourselves for not being what we wish to be, or rather, what we believe we should be. We cannot forgive ourselves for not being perfect. We know we are not what we believe we're supposed to be, and so we feel false, frustrated, dishonest. We try to hide ourselves and pretend to be what we are not. The result is that we feel unauthentic and wear these social masks to keep others from noticing this. We are so afraid that somebody else will notice that we are not what we pretend to be. We judge others according to our image of perfection as well, and naturally they fall short of those expectations. We dishonor ourselves just to please other people. We even do harm to our physical bodies just to be accepted by others. You see teenagers taking drugs to avoid being rejected by other teenagers. They are not aware that the problem is that they don't accept themselves. They reject themselves because they are not what they pretend to be. They wish to be a certain way, but they are not. And for this, they carry shame and guilt. Humans punish themselves endlessly for not being what they believe they should be. They become very self-abusive, and they use other people to abuse themselves as well. But nobody abuses us more than when we abuse ourselves. And it is the judge, the victim, and the belief system that makes us do this. True, we find people who say their husband or wife or mother or father abused them. But you know that we abuse ourselves much more than that. The way we judge ourselves is the worst judge that ever existed. If we make a mistake in front of people, we try to deny the mistake and cover it up. But as soon as we are alone, the judge becomes so strong. The guilt is so strong. And we feel stupid or so bad or so unworthy. In your whole life, nobody has ever abused you more than you have abused yourself. And the limit of your self-abuse is exactly the limit that you'll tolerate from someone else. If someone abuses you a little more than you abuse yourself, you'll probably walk away from that person. But if someone abuses you a little less than you abuse yourself, you probably stay in the relationship and tolerate it endlessly. If you abuse yourself very badly, you can even tolerate someone who beats you up, humiliates you, and treats you like dirt. Why? Because your belief system, you say, I deserve it. This person is doing me a favor by being with me. I'm not worthy of love and respect. I'm not good enough. We have the need to be accepted and to be loved by others, but we cannot accept and love ourselves. The more self-love we have, the less we will experience self-abuse. Self-abuse comes from self-rejection, and self-rejection comes from having an image of what it means to be perfect and never measuring up to that ideal. Our image of perfection is the reason we reject ourselves. It is why we don't accept ourselves the way we are and why we don't accept others the way they are. Prelude to a New Dream. We're going to stop there for right now. So below, please take the time out to self-reflect. You can rewatch this, re-listen. The Great Spirit has a note for you in the writings. All of that spoke to me immensely and is the reason why I've decided to read this book out loud to you in segments. I appreciate you taking the time to watch this video and hear these words. I hope that you decide, or at least self-reflect on whether or not you're living your own dream or living the society's dream of perfection. Love y'all. Talk to you soon.